finally, after years and years, Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. I'm hearing a press conference is scheduled in the next coming days. It's going to happen. What do you think about it? Who has the edge in that?
This is a big fight, man. I think this is one of the most anticipated fights in recent years. Two guys at their extreme tip top potential. They're in their prime. But again, I've always loved Terence Crawford, bro, because I see a lot of myself in Terence Crawford, right? About how he approached the fight, how he approached his career when it comes down to other fighters. You feel me? And I've always said, Terence Crawford don't see none of those guys. He just don't see those names. He don't see, and I never saw any of those guys. I mean, the bigger the name, the better. I wasn't really caring about that because I knew what I had. I knew who I was. So I think Terence has always had that identity about himself. I like the way he do his business. It's going to be a tough fight. I think it's a pick'em fight, but I like Terence Crawford. I think when you look at combination punching, I think that he's a favorite in that. When you look at strict counter punching, I think he's a little bit in the counter punch. You got to give him the edge in that. Power, you might want to give Errol Spence the power nod. Size nod going to be Errol Spence. But I look at that fight when I break it down. I can't wait to do Tarver's take on it. It's coming, and I'm going to really break this fight down. But at the end of the day, I think this fight comes down to who can do more in the ring. Who have you seen do more in the ring? And I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think when I look at Terence Crawford, I've seen him win in various ways, a lot of different ways. Ambidextrous. He punches with both hands. I think he can just do a little bit more. I don't mean that gives him the edge in the fight, but I like Crawford early right now. That could possibly change depending on the training camps and everything. You know what I mean? But right now, I got Crawford. I'm going with Crawford on that fight. I've always picked Crawford. And if anything changes, I'll let you know. If I see something different coming out of Errol Spence camp that leads me to believe that he done moved that needle, I'll be the first one to say it. But right now I got Terence Crawford, slight edge. I don't see, I wouldn't even say knockout. I think it might go to the cards. Both of these guys are capable of knocking each other out. More so Crawford with one punch.
Really?
Errol Spence with accumulation of body attack, wearing you down and getting you out of there. You know what I mean? But when you look at one punch counter, look at the last fight he ended. The last fight Crawford ended with that one shot. He has that type of counter punching ability that he'll set a trap. See, I don't see none of these guys setting trap. These guys are being read like Braille, bro. It's nothing surprising about what they're doing. I'm not seeing the what you would call the thinking prowess in there. I'm not seeing the thinking prowess, bro. And that's a serious part of the game. When you just do the same thing and repeat it repeatedly, there's no adjustments being made. You know what I mean? When you're in between that coin, all you can hear is you don't hear no definite instructions. There's no instructions going on. It's just, you're cheering. You're cheering. You're not really giving the fighter no information to go out there and make a difference. You feel me? And all this stuff can be heard. All you got to do is mic them up. If you talk long enough, you're gonna slip up and say something that we know you ain't supposed to be saying or it don't fit. Just gotta put the mic on, let them go live. And you let them talk long enough, you can hear that, you can see what that, where they're coming from, or where the knowledge coming from, or is it even beneficial? If a fighter's not getting stern instruction to go out there and make that fighter uncomfortable with his approach, and then nothing's changing. We just fight now. You feel me? Guys got to get back to boxing, bro. It works. It really works. The techniques, what I'm talking about, the sweet science. You know what I mean? It's a way to fight. It's a way to go about getting that victory. It's a way to fight the first 3 rounds. It's a way to fight the middle, and it's a way to fight the end. And if you don't have all those in your tank in your bag, then, you know, you don't have enough. Got to get some more tools.
Let me ask you this, Antonio. You know, this fight with Spence and Crawford, I've heard a lot of people say what you just told me, the counter punching, that, hey, that could really be the difference in this fight. But I've heard also a lot of people say Spence might be too big, he might be too active, and he might drown out Terence via activity. Yes, Terence will be able to land those counter punches, but he'll be landing 2, and Spence will be landing 5, 6. Take a break, 5, 6, and just keep at him and at him and at him.
Well, if Crawford can't hurt Spence in this fight, he has no way to win, I believe. I think he has to hurt Spence to get his respect, to get his, you know, respect, and make him, you know, cautious a little bit by pushing on that gas and just coming with no regard. So it's important that Crawford get his respect early in that fight. And you know you got to do that anyway. You got to clip that guy with a shot he don't see to let him know it can get hazardous in here real quick. You know what I mean? If you don't put that in your opponent's head anyway, then you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. So in that first 2 rounds, 3 rounds, you got to find a way to crack your opponent. That's mandated. You got to do that to slow the fight down anyway. Because the guy, if you don't get your respect, the guy gonna run over you anyway. That goes without saying.